Can you give us your opinion on Howard Stern?
I think he's a genius. He's taken capitalism to a new level. A mixture of liberalism and conservatism, bringing with a taste of obnoxiousness. And he's not necessarily an idol of mine, but I have great respect for him because he's a businessman and he's manipulating his own tinge on the society to the way he feels that he can market himself. And anybody who can do that and make the American dream, all right, is just an awesome person in my opinion.
I think that Howard Stern has the right to say what he wants. I think the fact that he's been making it lucrative says more about listeners and corporations that advertise with him than it says about him. If America was on the track it should be, Howard Stern would be the biggest failure on American radio.
I mean, you can't discuss morality or integrity with a money-making machine. There's no such animal. You know, what's that word? It's an oxymoron. It doesn't exist.
Well, who's controlling the airways? I really don't know anymore. I just think that that if you are very controversial today and you can sell Kellogg's cornflakes, or you can sell Snapple, or you can sell any kind of a meat, they say put them on.
If there's money to be made, forget morality, integrity, forget that. It's not discussed. It's not discussed. It's how can we do better, the bottom line. That's it. That's it. Protect the investment. That's it. That's the name of the game.
There was the day when things were much different than they are today, of course, but only people who are old recall those days. I don't even recall some of them because I haven't been here forever. But in the sometime around 1920, there was a then famous motion picture comedian named Fatty Arbuckle. He worked mostly in silent films, and he was popular, successful. And then he became involved in a tragic case. A prostitute died after apparently having been involved with some sex party where someone, we don't know still whether it was really Mr. Arbuckle or not, employed a Coca-Cola bottle for sexual purposes, and the glass broke and she bled to death. A terribly sad story. Well, simply because Arbuckle was apparently present at the party and might have been the guilty individual, his career was over that day. I mean, nobody took a vote or, wrote any memos back and forth. He was out of the business. Nobody stood in line demanding to see his pictures. The American people turned their back on him. The industry turned their back on him. Today, if that were to happen, I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Fatty Arbuckle end up doing a commercial for Pepsi.
The strongest word in the English language, and this is what this country has lived by, is greed. G-R-E-E-D. That's the moral standard. I got mine, up yours, Jack.
I don't mean to lay the ills of the world at the feet of Howard Stern, certainly, or any shock jock, or any one individual. But the point at hand is that the money that this man makes is his only motivation. He's a very private individual, very quiet individual, I understand, outside of the studio. But when it comes to that studio or his career, bottom line, motivation, he will say, do, act, wear anything to make a buck. And in my mind, that's his motivation. And I'm not saying that that's wrong, but when we look at the means towards that end of making the money, there are some means to making that money that I don't agree with. Everybody, make as much money as you want to, as long as you're doing it the right way, as long as you're doing it legally, as long as you're doing it without hurting anyone, as long as you're not misrepresenting things. Go ahead and make as much money as you want to. But I don't think Howard Stern can fall into any of those categories.
Well, I don't know Mel Karmazin personally, but obviously he's had a long time to analyze, to think about, to question his own conscience as to why he's carrying Howard Stern and what are the benefits and the negatives of that. And it seems very clear to me, and I think to almost anyone else, that on one side you have profit and power and influence and a degree of fame. That's the positive side of Howard Stern as far as Mel Karmazin. And the other side is what most people believe is a very negative influence on the community, on children. And it seems clear that Mr. Karmazin has weighed the balance and said that money and personal fame and fortune is what's important to me. And he's made a decision to not only carry Howard Stern in New York City, which is of course notoriously liberal and with little or no social conscience to begin with. That's certainly part of our reputation here. I don't think completely true at all, but he's spread it all over the country. And if he could get away with it, I'm sure he'd bring Howard Stern to every hamlet in the United States. And the way things are going, he may succeed in that task. I sure hope not.